When my girlfriend learned I worked a regular job, she left me with a laugh, saying, "I'm not marrying potential." She didn't know my family owned the building she lived in. When the ownership transfer hit the records and she tried to reach me again, I, 27 male, worked a regular job at a retail management company. I made decent money, nothing flashy, just enough for a comfortable one-bedroom apartment and weekend outings. My girlfriend Vanessa, 25, had been with me for 8 months. Last Tuesday, she walked into my apartment, saw my company badge sitting on the counter, and asked what I actually did for work. I told her the truth. Mid-level operations manager, standard salary, steady career path. She stared at me for 3 long seconds. Then she laughed. Not a small chuckle, but a full, cruel laugh that echoed off my kitchen walls. "I'm not marrying potential," she said, grabbing her purse. "I thought you were going somewhere. Guess I was wrong." She left without another word. The door clicked shut, and I stood there holding my coffee mug, processing what just happened. What Vanessa didn't know was that my family owned the luxury apartment buildings she lived in, along with 4 other commercial properties scattered across the city. The ownership transfer paperwork sat in my lawyer's office, 3 signatures away from moving everything into my name. 2 months later, when those documents hit the public records and her landlord suddenly became Eric Chen instead of Chen Family Holdings, my phone exploded with her messages. I grew up watching money destroy relationships. My father built a commercial real estate portfolio from nothing, starting with a single apartment complex in 1989 and expanding through careful investments over 3 decades. By the time I turned 18, our family owned 6 buildings and held equity in 12 more. My older sister married a man who proposed 3 weeks after learning about the trust funds. The marriage lasted 14 months. My younger brother dated a woman who showed up to family dinners with investment ideas and business proposals. She never asked about his hobbies or his art degree. When I graduated college with a business management degree, my father made an offer. "Work with me, learn the business, take over eventually," he said over breakfast at our usual corner diner. I told him I wanted to build something on my own first, prove I could function outside the family bubble. He understood. He'd done the same thing before my grandfather handed him the first building. I took the job at Cortec Retail Management, worked my way from assistant manager to operations lead, earned my promotions through actual performance reviews, and late nights fixing inventory systems. My apartment was a standard rental in a different neighborhood, paid from my own paycheck. My car was a 3-year-old sedan. My clothes came from regular department stores. I lived like every other person in their late 20s trying to build a career. It felt honest. It felt real. The only people who knew about my family's holdings were my parents, my siblings, and our lawyer. I never mentioned it on dates. I never brought it up in conversations. I wanted someone to choose me for me, not for the buildings or the bank accounts. I met Vanessa at a networking mixer 8 months before the breakup. She worked in pharmaceutical sales, drove a leased BMW, wore designer labels that looked expensive but were probably knockoffs. She talked about ambition, about climbing ladders, about refusing to settle for average. I found it refreshing at first. She had goals. She pushed herself. We started dating casually, then more seriously. She never asked about my family background, and I never volunteered it. Our dates were normal, mid-range restaurants, movie theaters, walks through the park. She seemed happy with that for the first few months. Then small comments started appearing. "Your friend David just got promoted to director level," she'd mention at dinner. "When do you think you'll move up?" Or she'd scroll through social media and say, "Look at this couple. They just bought a house in the suburbs. Goals, right?" I'd nod, sip my drink, and redirect the conversation. The comments got more frequent around month 6. She started comparing me to her friends' boyfriends. One guy founded a tech startup. Another worked in investment banking. A third owned a chain of fitness studios. She never said it directly, but the message was clear. I wasn't impressive enough. I wasn't successful enough. I wasn't worth the investment. Looking back, I saw the pattern. She never asked about my day at work unless it involved a promotion opportunity. She never asked about my hobbies or my thoughts on anything that didn't involve career advancement. When I mentioned I liked hiking, she asked if I'd networked with anyone successful on the trails. Every conversation filtered through the lens of status and money. I kept dating her because part of me wanted to believe she'd eventually care about the actual person. I was wrong. The breakup happened on a Tuesday evening. Vanessa came over after work, still wearing her sales rep blazer and carrying her oversized work bag. She dropped the bag on my couch and walked into the kitchen where I was making pasta. My Cortec badge sat on the counter where I'd left it after coming home. She picked it up, read the company name, and asked what I actually did there. I explained my role. Operations manager, overseeing 3 retail locations, coordinating inventory systems, managing staff schedules, standard mid-level position with standard mid-level pay. Her face changed. The polite interest vanished, replaced by something colder. So you're not in upper management, she said. Not a question, a statement, not executive level or anything. I told her no, I was working my way up through normal channels. She set the badge down carefully. How much do you make? The question came out flat. Transactional. I gave her the honest number. $68,000 a year, plus benefits and annual bonuses. She processed that for a moment. Then she laughed. The sound cut through the kitchen like broken glass. I'm not marrying potential, she said, reaching for her purse. I thought you were going somewhere, Eric. I thought you had plans, ambition, something. Guess I was wrong. She slung her bag over her shoulder. This was fun, but I'm not spending my best years waiting for you to maybe become something. I stood there, wooden spoon in hand, watching her walk toward the door. I didn't chase her. I didn't argue. I just asked if she was serious. Completely serious, she said, hand on the doorknob. I want someone established, someone who's already made it. You're still figuring things out. The door closed behind her with a soft click. I turned off the stove, dumped the pasta in the trash, and sat on my couch for 20 minutes in complete silence. The next morning, I called my father. We met at the same corner diner where we'd had hundreds of conversations over the years. I told him what happened. He listened without interrupting, sipping his coffee, watching the street outside the window. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Your mother and I have been discussing the ownership transfer. We're ready whenever you are." The transfer had been planned for months. My parents wanted to retire, travel, spend time with grandkids. They wanted me to take over the portfolio, manage the properties, continue building what they'd started. I'd been hesitant, worried about the responsibility, worried about how it would change my life. But sitting in that diner, listening to my father explain the paperwork, I realized something. I'd proven what I needed to prove. I'd worked a normal job, earned a normal living, dated someone who knew nothing about my background, and she'd rejected me anyway, not because of who I was, but because of what I couldn't offer her. The decision became clear. I told my father I was ready. We spent the next week in meetings with the family lawyer, Michael Reeves, a man who'd handled our legal affairs for 20 years. He walked me through every document, every property deed, every transfer form. The portfolio included 6 apartment buildings, 2 commercial office complexes, and 3 retail strip malls. Total property value sat somewhere north of $40 million. Rental income alone generated 6 figures monthly. Michael explained that once the transfer went through, my name would appear on all public records as the owner. Property ownership is public information, he said, sliding a stack of papers across his desk. Anyone can look it up online through the county assessor's office. I signed everything. 3 weeks later, the transfer hit the public records. Vanessa lived in Riverside Towers, a luxury apartment building my father purchased in 2003. 20 floors, 200 units, prime location near downtown. Monthly rent ranged from $2,000 for a studio to $5,000 for a 3-bedroom. Vanessa had a 1-bedroom on the 14th floor. Rent was $2,800 a month. Her lease renewed every year in June. It was currently March. I didn't plan anything. I didn't scheme or plot. I just moved forward with my life, took over the property management meetings, learned the systems, met with the building managers. Riverside Towers was managed by a woman named Patricia Knowles, 56, sharp, no nonsense, 20 years in property management. We met for coffee 2 days after the transfer completed. She showed me the tenant roster, maintenance schedules, financial reports. Everything ran smoothly. Patricia knew every tenant by name, handled complaints efficiently, enforced lease terms fairly. Any problem tenants? I asked, scanning through the roster. She shook her head. Not really. Few late payments here and there, but nothing serious. Then she paused. Actually, there's one. Unit 1407, Vanessa Morgan. She's been late on rent 3 times in the past 6 months. Always pays eventually, but always pushes the deadline. I noted the unit number. 1407, Vanessa's apartment, Patricia continued. She also submits a lot of maintenance requests, some legitimate, some not. Last month she claimed the bathroom faucet was broken. I sent someone up. Turns out she just didn't like the finish and wanted it replaced. I thanked Patricia, took the files, and went home. 2 days later, the county records went live online. My name appeared as the owner of Riverside Towers. That's when Vanessa's messages started. The first text arrived at 9:47 on a Thursday morning. Eric, we need to talk. Please call me. I was in a meeting at Cortec, reviewing inventory projections for the next quarter. I glanced at my phone, saw her name, and put it face down on the table. 3 more messages came through by lunch. I made a mistake. Can we meet? I saw the property records. Why didn't you tell me? Please don't ignore me. I care about you. I didn't respond. I finished my workday, drove home, made dinner, watched a basketball game. My phone buzzed 16 more times by midnight. The messages shifted from apologetic to confused to slightly desperate. I never cared about money, you have to believe me. We had something real. I was just scared of settling down, that's all. I forwarded the entire text chain to Patricia with a simple note. Tenant in 1407 attempting personal contact. Please handle all building-related communication through standard property management channels. Patricia responded within an hour. Understood. I'll send a reminder about proper communication protocols. The next day, Vanessa received an email from Riverside Towers Management. Standard template message. All building-related inquiries must be submitted through the official tenant portal. Personal contact with ownership is not permitted under building policy. That's when the call started. 7 calls Friday afternoon, 12 calls Saturday. I didn't answer any of them. My voicemail filled with increasingly frantic messages. Eric, please pick up. I know you're seeing these. Just give me 5 minutes to explain. Sunday morning, I blocked her number. Update 1. The blocked number didn't stop her for long. She created a new number, probably a Google Voice line, and the text resumed. You're being childish. I just want to apologize properly. Why are you punishing me? I showed the messages to Michael, our family lawyer. He read through them carefully, then looked up. Do you want a cease and desist letter, or do you want to handle this more quietly? I told him quiet was fine for now. She wasn't threatening, just annoying. Michael suggested I keep records of everything, just in case. I started a folder on my phone, screenshots of every message, every call log, every voicemail. The evidence stacked up quickly. By the end of week 1, I had 43 messages and 27 missed calls, all from different numbers. She was using text apps, burner numbers, anything she could find. Meanwhile, mutual friends started reaching out. Her best friend Hannah called me Tuesday evening. Eric, Vanessa's really torn up about this. She made a mistake, but she genuinely cares about you. I asked Hannah when Vanessa had started caring. Before or after she saw the property records? Hannah went quiet. Then she said, That's not fair. I told her it was completely fair. Vanessa had 8 months to care about me. She chose not to. The call ended. 2 more friends tried similar interventions over the next few days. Same script, same talking points. Vanessa made a mistake. Vanessa didn't mean it. Vanessa deserves a second chance. I gave everyone the same response. She made her choice. I'm respecting it. The messages kept coming. Thursday afternoon, Vanessa sent a long paragraph. I know I hurt you. I know I was shallow and stupid, but I've been thinking about us constantly. I miss you. I miss what we had. Please just meet me for coffee. Let me explain. I promise I'm not interested in your money. I didn't even know until the records went public. That proves I cared about you for you. I read it twice. Then I opened the screenshot folder and scrolled back to our relationship. I found a text from October, 5 months before the breakup. Vanessa had sent me a link to an article titled 10 Signs You're Dating Someone Without Ambition. The message with it said, just some food for thought. I saved that screenshot too. Update 2. March turned into April. Vanessa's lease renewal notice went out mid-month. Standard communication from Patricia's office. Your lease expires June 30th. Please confirm intent to renew by May 1st. Monthly rent will increase to $2,975 in accordance with market rates and building improvements. The rent increase was normal. Patricia raised rates by 3 to 5% annually across all units. Vanessa's increase was 3.1%, below the building average. She must have panicked when she saw the number. I got a voicemail from a new number that evening. Eric, please, I can't afford this increase. Can you work with me? I know you own the building. Please. I didn't respond. Patricia sent me a message the next day. Tenant 12107 called requesting a meeting about her lease renewal. She asked to speak with ownership directly. I informed her that's not possible and all lease matters go through property management. She became upset and hung up. I thanked Patricia and asked her to continue standard procedures. No exceptions. No special treatment. By the book. 2 days later, Vanessa tried a different approach. She showed up at my workplace. I was leaving Cortec at 6:15, heading to my car in the parking garage. She was leaning against my sedan, arms crossed, trying to look casual. We need to talk, she said when I got close. I stopped about 10 feet away. How did you know where I work? I asked. You left your badge at my place once, she answered. I remembered the company name. I walked past her, unlocked my car. She moved to block the driver's door. 5 minutes, she said. That's all I'm asking. I looked at her directly for the first time in 5 weeks. She'd lost weight, dark circles under her eyes, hair less polished than usual. She looked stressed. You said you weren't marrying potential, I told her calmly. I respected that decision. Please respect mine. I was wrong, she said quickly. I was scared and stupid and I made a terrible mistake. But we had something real, Eric. You know we did. I asked her what we had. She blinked. What do you mean? Tell me one thing about me, I said. One thing that has nothing to do with my job or my money or my future. One thing you actually liked about me as a person. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. You're kind, she finally said, and you're patient. Those are adjectives, I replied, not examples. Try again. She couldn't answer. She stood there, hand on my car door, searching for something to say. I waited 30 seconds. Nothing came. I need to go, I said. She stepped aside. I got in my car, started the engine, and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I watched her standing in the parking garage, phone already in her hand. 3 new texts arrived before I made it home. I deleted them without reading. The next morning, Patricia called me. Tenant 1407 submitted a maintenance request. She claims her air conditioning isn't working properly. I sent someone up. The AC is fine. She asked the maintenance tech if he knew how to contact you directly. He told her no and left. I asked Patricia how she wanted to handle it. I'm documenting everything, she said. If she continues using false maintenance requests to attempt contact, that's a lease violation. I can address it officially if needed. I told her to use her judgment. She knew the systems better than I did. Patricia had handled difficult tenants before. She'd handled this one too. Update 3. May arrived. Vanessa's deadline to confirm her lease renewal was May 1st. She didn't respond by the deadline. Patricia sent a follow-up notice on May 3rd. Your lease renewal confirmation is overdue. Please respond by May 10th to secure your unit. If we don't receive confirmation, we'll assume you're vacating and begin marketing the unit for new tenants. Vanessa called Patricia's office 6 times that day. Patricia answered once, repeated the lease terms, and explained that ownership was not negotiating individual agreements. After the 6th call, Patricia sent me an email. Tenant 1407 is claiming financial hardship due to the rent increase. She asked if she could speak with you directly to request a discount. I told her ownership doesn't make individual exceptions and standard lease terms apply to all tenants. She asked if she could submit a written appeal. I told her she could, but it would be reviewed using standard criteria and her payment history would be considered. I replied with one line, no special treatment. Vanessa submitted a written appeal on May 6th. 3 pages, single-spaced. Patricia forwarded it to me. I read it once. It was half apology letter, half financial hardship claim. She wrote about our relationship, about how she'd made a mistake, about how she was struggling with work stress and money pressure. She mentioned her commission-based salary, her student loans, her car payment. She claimed the rent increase would push her over budget. Then she asked if we could meet to discuss a mutually beneficial arrangement. I printed the letter and handed it to Michael. He read it, raised his eyebrows, and set it down. "She's attempting to leverage your past relationship to gain financial advantage," he said. "That's actually worse than just asking for a discount as a regular tenant." I asked him what he recommended. "Standard denial letter," Michael said. "Property management reviews all hardship appeals using consistent criteria. Her payment history shows 3 late payments in 6 months. That's below the threshold for consideration. Denial is justified purely on financial grounds. No personal factors needed." Patricia sent the denial letter on May 8th. Professional, brief, legally sound. "Your hardship appeal has been reviewed. Based on your payment history and the standard criteria for rent modifications, we cannot approve a reduction. Your lease renewal at the increased rate is available until May 10th. After that date, the unit will be marketed to new applicants." Vanessa called me 17 times that day. I didn't answer. She left voicemails ranging from angry to crying to threatening legal action. "You can't do this. This is discrimination. I'll report you." I forwarded the voicemails to Michael. He listened to all of them and sent me a 2-word reply. Empty threats. On May 9th, Vanessa signed her lease renewal. Standard terms, increased rent, no exceptions. Patricia confirmed the signature at 4:30 in the afternoon. "She signed, but she wasn't happy about it," Patricia wrote. "She made several comments about speaking to a lawyer. I reminded her that lease terms are standard across all units and applied equally. She left without further incident." That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. The next week, other tenants started talking. Riverside Towers had a community Facebook group, about 70 members, mostly residents sharing maintenance updates and package delivery questions. Someone posted a vague message about management changes and new ownership. Someone else asked if rent increases were normal. Then a comment thread started. One tenant, username JennyB1209, wrote, "I heard the new owner used to date someone in the building. Anyone know if that's true?" 3 other people replied asking for details. The thread got messy fast. I didn't engage. I didn't even join the group. But Patricia sent me screenshots. The rumor spread through the building within 48 hours. Some people thought it was interesting. Others thought it was inappropriate. One tenant started a petition asking for transparent ownership policies and equal treatment guarantees. It got 6 signatures before someone pointed out that equal treatment was exactly what was happening. Patricia posted an official statement in the group. Building ownership changed in March through a standard family business transfer. All tenants are subject to identical lease terms and rent increase formulas. Property management operates independently of ownership's personal life. Questions about lease terms should be directed to the management office. The thread died down after that. June arrived. Vanessa paid her first month's rent at the increased rate, on time. No calls, no texts, no messages. I thought maybe she'd finally accepted the situation. I was wrong. On June 15th, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. It was Hannah, Vanessa's best friend. "Eric, I need to tell you something," she said. Her voice was different, serious, not the defensive tone from our last conversation. "Vanessa's been talking to other people, saying things about you, claiming you're harassing her, refusing to let her out of her lease, raising her rent unfairly as revenge." I asked if she was posting this publicly. "Not yet," Hannah said, "but she's planning to. She showed me a draft of an Instagram post. It's pretty damaging. Claims you're using your position as her landlord to punish her for breaking up with you." I thanked Hannah for the warning and asked why she was telling me. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Because I went back and looked at your relationship. Really looked at it. Vanessa talked about you like you were a project. She was always asking if you'd gotten promoted, if you'd made more money, if you'd moved up. She never just enjoyed being with you. I didn't see it then. I see it now. What she's planning isn't right." I asked Hannah to send me the draft post if she could. 20 minutes later, I had screenshots. The post was long, emotional, carefully worded. Vanessa claimed I was weaponizing my financial power against her. She said I was retaliating through rent increases and harassment. She claimed I'd blocked her from speaking with property management. Every sentence was designed for maximum sympathy, and every sentence was a lie. I forwarded everything to Michael. He called me within the hour. If she posts this, it's defamation. Clear, provable, documented. We have lease records showing standard increases. We have communication logs showing she contacted you repeatedly, not the other way around. We have her signed lease agreement proving she accepted the terms voluntarily. I asked him what he wanted to do. Preemptive cease and desist, Michael said. Let her know that posting false claims will result in legal action. Sometimes that's enough to stop it. The cease and desist letter arrived at Vanessa's apartment on June 17th. Certified mail signature required. It was 3 pages, professionally written, legally precise. It outlined the facts. The lease renewal was standard. The rent increase was normal. The communication attempts were one-sided. Any public statements claiming harassment, retaliation, or unfair treatment would be considered defamation and met with legal action. The letter didn't mention our relationship. It treated her purely as a tenant making false claims. Patricia confirmed Vanessa signed for the letter at 10:23 in the morning. I waited. 3 days passed. No Instagram post appeared. No Facebook rant. No Twitter thread. Nothing. Hannah texted me on June 20th. She's furious, but she's scared. The lawyer letter freaked her out. She deleted the draft post. I thanked her again. She replied with one more message. For what it's worth, you handled this better than most people would have. She made her choice. You just held the boundary. That felt true. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't argued. I hadn't lowered myself to her level. I'd simply maintained standard procedures and let the systems work. Property management handled tenants. Lawyers handled legal threats. I just kept living my life. The calls stopped. The texts stopped. The maintenance requests stopped. Vanessa became just another tenant at Riverside Towers. One name on a roster of 200. I heard through mutual friends that she started dating someone new, a financial advisor, someone established, someone who'd already made it. I hoped it worked out for her. I really did. Not because I cared about her happiness, but because I wanted her to move forward and leave me alone. September rolled around. I'd been managing the properties for 6 months. The work was different from my job at Cortec, but satisfying in its own way. I learned about zoning laws, maintenance schedules, tenant relations. I kept my retail management position too, working both roles, building both skills. Patricia became a mentor of sorts, teaching me the nuances of property management that went beyond paperwork. My family was proud. My father called every Sunday to check in, offer advice, share stories from his own early days managing buildings. My mother invited me over for dinner twice a week, always asking how I was handling the transition. My sister told me I'd done the right thing by keeping my boundaries clean. Life moved forward. I started dating again. Casually at first, then more seriously. I met Melissa at a Cortec company event. She worked in digital marketing, loved hiking, asked about my hobbies within the first 10 minutes of conversation. She didn't care about my job title or my bank account. She cared about whether I liked dogs and if I'd seen the latest documentary on national parks. We took things slow. I told her about my family's properties on our 5th date, nervous about how she'd react. She shrugged and said, "Cool. Want to split this pizza or should I order my own?" That's when I knew. 3 months into dating Melissa, I stopped thinking about Vanessa entirely. She became a footnote, a lesson learned, a chapter closed. The building still ran smoothly. Patricia still handled everything professionally. Vanessa still paid her rent on time. The system worked exactly as it should. On a cold morning in December, 9 months after the breakup, I got a text from an unknown number. Just one line. "I heard you're engaged. Congratulations." I didn't recognize the number, but I knew the tone. Vanessa. I didn't respond. I deleted the message and put my phone away. That evening, I proposed to Melissa at the same hiking trail where we'd had our first real conversation. She said yes before I finished the question. We celebrated with cheap champagne and gas station snacks, sitting on a rock overlooking the valley, watching the sunset. It was perfect, simple, genuine, real. Everything I'd wanted and couldn't find before. That night, lying in bed, Melissa asked about my ex. "Do you ever regret how it ended?" she asked. I thought about it. The breakup, the text, the lease renewal, the cease and desist letter, the months of boundary holding. I looked at Melissa, at this person who chose me before knowing about the properties, who valued authenticity over status, who asked about my day at work because she cared about my life, not my paycheck. Not even a little bit, I told her. And I meant it. Vanessa taught me what I didn't want. Melissa showed me what I did. Some people marry potential. Others marry the person in front of them. I chose the person. The properties, the money, the buildings full of tenants, those were just details. Nice details, useful details, but details nonetheless. What mattered was finding someone who saw past all of it and chose me anyway. Someone who'd choose me if I worked retail management forever. Someone who'd choose me if the properties disappeared tomorrow. Someone who valued the person, not the portfolio. I found that person. Vanessa never could, and that made all the difference.